Hi, and welcome to my coaching philosophy vlog 3. So first up, what is a coaching philosophy? So Parkin defines a coaching philosophy as cited in Benny and O'Connor as personal truths, principles, attitudes, and values. Now, Geraghty in 2010 takes this one step further and tells us that a philosophy is a process by which practitioners synthesize, evaluate, and connect those practices, those beliefs, those attitudes with research and aims and methods. So all of it into every facet of designing a strength and conditioning program, as you'll see in the center there. The first fundamental question I ask myself is, what are we here for? Why are the athletes here? And everything has to come back to that. So in my years as an academy netball coach, I've come up with the following coaching philosophy. Helping athletes to remain injury-free while achieving their highest levels of performance. Breaking this down further, and these are my two key non-negotiables, I do that by incorporating mobility and corrective exercises within strength training sessions, and I'll go into more detail on both of these. And a second is programming athletes to move in many directions with many exercise varieties. This philosophy is a culmination of past mentors and coaches, their thoughts, their philosophies, my own coaching experiences, as well as reading a lot and actively listening. I think even more important than those things is also assuming that there's likely a better way to do it. And also, importantly, that as a coach, there is usually more than one great or ideal way of doing something. So it's about trying to get inspiration from everywhere and seeing what works best for you and for your athletes. So now for my coaching philosophy in practice. The first one off the bat is incorporating mobility and corrective exercises within the strength training sessions themselves. So I started incorporating these about a year and a half ago. I was inspired by Eric Cressy, the strength coach, who said that he was just sick of feeling and sounding like a nagging parent every time he asked his athletes whether or not they had completed the formula of foam rolling, mobility exercises, then strength training, then recovery and stretching. It is quite monotonous. I felt the same way. It really resonated with me. My athletes would say, yes, I've done my corrective drills, but, I probably did them a bit half-heartedly or as quickly as possible. So it's pretty common, and that's why I now incorporate it into each session. I include, so for example, I will have like a safety bar squat, and then I will couple that with a quadruped thoracic extension and rotation. So 3 or 4 sets of each, about 6 reps. This simple shift will reap big rewards. My athletes have been much more, naturally inclined to undertake their mobility and corrective exercises. And of course, after squats, any other exercise is a welcomed interruption. The second non-negotiable when it comes to putting my coaching philosophy into practice is making sure athletes are moving in many directions using many exercise varieties. I learnt this one early on in my coaching career, and it was actually by tagging along to one of my past coaches' workouts. He had said, look, what we're going to do today, we're going to have some overhead squats and some barbell forward lunges. I got through the overhead squats without too much trouble, and then had the barbell forward lunges to look forward to. And I'd always incorporated reverse lunges, both in my own workouts and also my athletes, because to me the leg positioning is easier to establish. You can truly work the posterior chain muscles in a hip drive manner. It's also very good, working with netballers, being conscious of comfortable knee positioning. A reverse lunge, it just seems easier for netballers to get into. The front lunge, though, it has you driving the body back to standing from the hip flex position. It's not usually a position for a sprint start, but used in deceleration and change of direction movements. For myself at the time, I hadn't been training change of direction type of movements. As I got under the bar for my second set, my body was just telling me absolutely not. 3 reps into a set of 8, my right leg forward, my hip flexor seized, wouldn't let me return to standing, and I had to dump the weight, and obviously my pride along with it. And from that point, my clients, my athletes, they've trained every direction imaginable to not only avoid embarrassing blunders in the weight room, but to minimize injury risk, which is, of course, an essential component of most coaches' philosophies.